So yes, we will be starting the presentation now. Rana and Imelda will handle the presentation for you. So the presentation is going to be about COVID-19 action. So it will be split into four main parts. The first is activities we can do during the pandemic. The second is activities we can do during after the pandemic. The third is ideas and for internal organization, which help be stronger after this whole thing is over. And the fourth one is we will be sharing with you tutorials like to help you learn how you can make face shields, handmade or by 3D printed, by 3D printer machines, by CNC machines, as well as how to make air savers with smart designs. And it's not only about machines, we will also help you to and give you confidence that you can make an impact during these times and after these times, also without having any machines, like the first by being part of the first eReach community. So Rana will start in seconds, hopefully.
Yes. So, hello everyone again. I'm Rana Usta from Lybotics Girls Team 8141. As all of you know that we are discussing today about COVID-19 actions and what we can do during this pandemic to help our teams and to help our community. So we will discussing about the contents of the first of this event will be first thing is activities to do during this pandemic, which are health related. And the second topic will be activities to do after the pandemic. Three, activities and ideas for internal organization. 4, interactive activities, just to engage you with us. And the last one will be tutorial videos for projects and products to do in COVID-19. So just go to the next slide. Yes, activities to do during the pandemic. We all know that we are living in a hard time, that everything is changing, and for us, this changing should be good thing, should stimulate and motivate us to produce, learn, and also improve ourselves and our community. So I have just some topics for you to do during this pandemic. The first one is be creative and help yourself and your community. This one is presented in like making face shields to help medical staff and help doctors and nurses during this pandemic. We all know that we all see a lot of teams that made face shields by 3D printer that most of teams have, and they just using 3D printer and filament and just they have designs and they made face shields. Another thing is ear savers, which also a lot of teams that did, and it's very helpful for the ears to not damage and when we wear the surgical masks. And also as Lybotics Youth Team and Girls Team, we created an idea about how to make face shields by hand in home, and in the next slide we will have the video. The second tip you can do is you can try to build a robot that can be used as deliverer, just to help the doctors and nurses to deliver the medicine to the patients, and that may be very helpful just to avoid the direct contact between the doctors and the patients. We also can produce and made ventilators, which we saw that Afghanistan team did such a thing, which helped a lot and helped their community and their doctors. The third thing which can maybe be helpful for you is to stay healthy outside and inside, mentally and in your body. So you can maybe listen to TED Talks, you can read a book, you can learn a language, you can teach teach something you know to your team, to your anyone of your community. And also you can make Zoom calls with your friends just to have some fun, and also to engage in fun and effective programs like here and eReach project. So I just introduce you to some ideas, and the next slide will be we will be having a tutorial video that maybe helps you to know how to make handmade face shields. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana. I'll just stop sharing this screen so that we can put the video.
Okay, now that we saw the video of how to do the math, I'm going to continue with the activities to do after the pandemic. So after the pandemic is over, we still need to continue with our projects to help society. In March, the International Labour Organization estimated that 25 million of people from all over the world will lose their jobs because of the pandemic. Scientists say that good hygiene habits are going to still very important to prevent the possible new contagions. For this, the FRC teams can develop projects to help all the people that are going to be affected after the pandemic. Some examples can be projects to support small business. During the pandemic, the small businesses that used to live off the profits of the day were very affected because they no longer have income to pay all their expenses and employees. Also, given the situation, the consultancy Deloitte considered that COVID-19 could affect the world economy in three ways. The first one, directly affecting production. The second one, creating disruptions in the supply chain and in the market. And the third one, due to its financial impact on companies and financial markets. So because of that, we can also implement economic recovery projects to help our society. And finally, another idea for project is creating hygiene campaigns where the teams can explain and spread the good habits of hygiene people need to continue doing to avoid new contagions. For example, the important habit that I think most of us know of washing our hands. All these are just some ideas of the many ideas of projects we can make to do after the pandemic. Now, Mohammed and Abraham are going to talk a little bit about the administration.
Internal organization.
Yes, sorry.
First of all, before that, I want to remind you that even though when the pandemic is declared over, it doesn't mean that our activities or how it affects us will stop, because let's remember that after this pandemic, we will have a lot of economic problems, a lot of psychological problems with people that will be um, having, I don't know, maybe losing their job, and that will bring many other issues that maybe we are not seeing right now. And we still have to consider how will this affect after, because let's remember it doesn't like end when it's said it's end, because like as Imelda said, we'll have a lot of problems with economy. People will start losing their jobs. Many small businesses will have to start again, or have a lot of trouble by getting enough profit, and maybe they will go to bankruptcy. And that's a lot of trouble that maybe we can start doing something to help them. Now let's go with Abraham and Mohammed.
Okay, yeah. So what has been presenting so far is what we can actually do for our community in terms as into during and after the contingency period. But what about what we can do for our team? So we know that most of us are staying at home. And although many people might think that making an effective team meeting or an effective team organization requires to be in a physical space, let's just think that this is a very good opportunity to adapt ourselves and become a little bit more virtual, and that there are strategies that we can follow as first teams to engage more in terms as into building, team building or team organization that could help us strengthen both our planning processes and also the project organizations that we want to do for further seasons. So one of the things that we also recommend as into internal organization is that you take this time and make an advantage of it by creating team building strategies where you can strengthen the relationships you have both within members and mentors, and that also you get the time to restructure your team so that, you know, afterwards, because of all of the issues that are going to come up, and also to keep up the hype of being in a first team, well, those strategies that we can create can be helpful in the future.
Those are amazing points, Abraham, as well as there are so many other amazing points we can have in terms of internal organization within the team itself. One of them is the team image. We believe that so many of the teams, whether it's FRC, FTC, FLL, or we're having some VEX robotics teams, all of us as robotics teams, as we don't have the Worlds as it has been canceled, as well as like having no way to organize any kind of physical outreaching activities. Some teams don't know that they can organize any kind of outreaching activities in terms of like online stuff, and they don't have CNC machines and the 3D printers. So they just left their social media and it's not active anymore, and so on. So there are so many other points we can do in terms of keeping the team active, and one of them is the team image. We always need to keep the social media of the team all over the channels like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We always need to keep them active. So maybe you can share some tips and tricks, STEM educational stuff, like make them easy, short and sweet, like some posters all over your social media, just to keep your community engaged and not losing the engagements in your social media. As well as Abraham mentioned, which is the team structure. Maybe we can invest the time in restructuring the team and keeping and making everything very clear and organized. As well as maybe we can work on the documentation. I believe that all of us are struggling during the season for the Chairman's Award stuff and the What If Flowers, and also the Dean's List Award. We are always like being rushed by time to make all the documentations ready on time. We can invest this time to start planning for all of those activities. We can have so many documentations ready like ahead of time. Maybe we can just plan for the structure of the document of the documents, and we can always also do, as Abraham mentioned, which is team building activities. We can have some video games stuff to keep the team engaged with each other. So that's almost everything we can do in terms of internal organization, alongside with what's mentioned in the slide. Hopefully everything is clear.